The school auditorium glowed under bright stage lights as chatter filled the air. Parents and students shuffled into rows of wooden seats, eager for the annual talent showcase. Teachers stood at the sides, laughing quietly, waiting for the evening to begin. Among the bustle, Daniel, the school janitor, leaned on his mop near the back wall. His grey coveralls smelled faintly of disinfectant, his boots worn from long days of work. Most saw him as part of the background, a man who fixed leaks, changed light bulbs, and swept floors. Few cared to know his story, except for one little girl in the front row. His daughter, Lily, sat swinging her feet, her eyes bright with excitement. A group of teachers huddled together, one of them smirking. "Wouldn't it be funny if the janitor played the piano?" she whispered. The others chuckled, glancing toward the instrument that stood proudly at the center of the stage. "Hey, Daniel," another called out loudly, "why don't you show us your talent? Come on, play the piano for us." The remark drew scattered laughs from the audience. Daniel stiffened. He had not touched a piano in years, not since his wife's passing. When music had felt too heavy to bear, he lowered his eyes, wanting to shrink back into the shadows. But then Lily's small voice cut through the noise. "Daddy, you should! Please play for me." Her words silenced him more than the laughter. She looked at him with so much trust, so much unshaken belief, that he felt his heart shift. Slowly, with heavy steps, he walked toward the piano. The crowd murmured. Some students giggled, expecting an awkward spectacle. Daniel sat down, his large, calloused hands hovering above the keys. He inhaled deeply, remembering the nights long ago when music filled his home, when his wife's laughter blended with the sound of the piano. The first note was soft, trembling, almost uncertain. Then another followed, smoother, and another, until the melody began to take shape. His fingers moved with growing confidence, weaving together a piece full of longing and love. The auditorium grew still. The giggles died away. The mocking expressions of the teachers slowly faded into astonishment. The music swelled, rich and powerful, filling every corner of the room. It was no longer just sound. It was a story of loss, resilience, and hope pouring from the heart of a man who had suffered and endured. Lily's eyes brimmed with tears as she watched. She had never seen her father this way, transformed from the quiet janitor into someone extraordinary. By the time the final note lingered and faded into silence, no one dared to speak. Daniel lowered his hands, his head slightly bowed. He expected ridicule, but instead saw an auditorium frozen in awe. At the very back of the room, the CEO of the school board, a woman known for her strictness, dabbed at her eyes with a tissue, moved in a way no one expected. For a moment, the auditorium remained silent after the last note. Then, like a wave building strength, the applause began. It started with a few scattered claps, hesitant at first, but soon the entire hall erupted into thunderous applause. The audience rose to their feet, cheering, whistling, and clapping until the sound echoed off the walls. Daniel blinked in disbelief. He had walked to the piano expecting ridicule. Yet now he sat at the center of an ovation he had never dreamed of. His heart pounded not from nerves anymore, but from a swelling pride he had not felt in years. Suddenly, tiny footsteps pattered across the stage. Lily rushed to him, her little arms wrapping tightly around his waist. "Daddy, you were amazing," she whispered, her voice trembling with joy. Daniel held her close, burying his face in her hair, fighting back tears. She had always believed in him, even when no one else had. Among the crowd, the CEO of the school board rose from her seat. Tall and composed, she was a woman known for her cold efficiency and sharp authority. People often whispered that she never showed emotion, never let her guard down. Yet tonight her eyes shimmered with tears. Slowly, she made her way to the stage, the crowd parting as she moved. When she reached Daniel, she paused, gathering her words. Her voice, usually crisp and commanding, broke softly. "Mr. Daniel," she said, her tone carrying both respect and vulnerability. "That was extraordinary." Daniel stood awkwardly, Lily clinging to his hand. He lowered his eyes, unsure how to respond. The CEO continued, her gaze fixed on him. "Years ago, I lost my husband. He used to play that same piece every evening in our home. Hearing you play tonight," her voice wavered as she dabbed at her tears. "For the first time in years, I felt him here again." The room fell into silence once more. Teachers who had mocked him earlier shifted uncomfortably in their seats, guilt washing over their faces. Students stared wide-eyed, realizing the janitor they passed in the hallways every day carried a gift beyond anything they imagined. Daniel swallowed hard. "I didn't mean to. I just wanted to play for my daughter," he said quietly. The CEO shook her head gently. "No, you gave us all something tonight. You reminded us that greatness can come from the most unexpected places." The applause swelled again, louder than before, but Daniel barely noticed. He looked down at Lily, who smiled at him with pride so pure it brought fresh tears to his eyes. In that moment, the years of being overlooked, underestimated and invisible melted away. He was no longer just the janitor. He was a father who had given his daughter a memory she would never forget, and a man whose music had touched even the hardest of hearts. And as the crowd stood cheering, Daniel smiled, not for recognition but for Lily, whose faith in him had made everything possible.